Welcome to MoggyBoxCraft. I'm Deborah and today I'm going to show you how I upcycled this beautiful piece of furniture. So to start with, I gave it a really good scrub and cleaned it up to get rid of all the dust and dirt. I also gave the top of the table a little bit of light sand just because it had some scrapes and things on it, just to give it a bit of a smoother surface. If you do any sanding, remember to remove all the dust with a damp cloth. You don't want dust while you're painting later, and remember to let it fully dry before you start painting. And to make the painting a little bit easier again, I removed all the hardware. So I'm going to start off with this matte white paint on the bottom third of the unit. The first two coats of paint are going to be undercoats. We're not going to worry about too much blending, just get the paint on there. On the midsection, I'm going to be using this light matte grey paint. Again, just whap it on. Don't worry too much about blending, just get the colour on there. And finally on the top third of the unit, I'm going to be using this matte black paint. I'm mostly painting in random directions, although when I did the top section of this unit, I did try to go in just one direction with my paintbrush, mostly just so it would be nice and even for my final coat. Just look a little bit more profesh. It won't, because I'm doing it, but we can still try, can't we? The room I'm painting in is pretty warm. So the first coat was dry enough after about 2 to 3 hours, so I did a second coat of the matte white paint, making sure to cover any areas I'd missed or any areas that hadn't covered well on the first coat. Then for the middle section, I decided I need to use a slightly darker grey colour. And this is also the stage I started roughly blending the colours together. Side note or top tip, remember to pull the drawers out and wipe away any excess paint, because it's a total pain if the paint dries and then you can't get the drawers open. Also remember to paint the edges of your drawers so it looks a little bit neater when you pull them out later. I'm just continuing to use swiping motions with my brush to do some more blending with the paint. And I completed the second undercoat using some more matte black paint on the top third of the unit. Again, just blending a little bit into the grey using a downward swiping motion. Is that what we're going to call it? Yeah, I don't really know how to describe that. That'll do. And then I waited 24 hours for it to dry. I didn't have to wait that long, but I wanted to make sure it was completely fully dry before we started with the gloss paint. Now, get your white spirit at the ready, because we're going to be using gloss paint and probably a zillion brushes. We've all done it. We've all left that gloss paint brush on too long and it's gone hard and it's been ruined. Don't do that. Remember to clear up brushes immediately after use. Side note, Deborah, remember to clean your brushes. So for the top coat, I started with this white gloss paint. Because we're using gloss paint, I found opening the drawers a tiny bit more tricky. Old bit of metal wire to the rescue to use as a hook and open the drawers and make my life a little bit easier. While you're doing this, remember to try and use only thin coats of gloss paint, because if it's too thick, it'll clump and it'll run, and when it dries, you'll see drips. And then you have to sand down the piece and repaint, and we don't want that. No thank you. Also, hairs are a total pain. I highly recommend painting in an area where there's no hair, or where your pets aren't allowed to go. In my case, it would appear that that's not possible. The dogs go everywhere, and so does the hair. Anyway, I mostly used upward sort of brush strokes to start blending the white into where the middle section colour would go. So for the middle colour, I wanted to try and use up this grey colour. It's an outdoor paint for exteriors, although I thought this colour was a little bit too dark, so I did mix in a little bit of white gloss into this paint just to make it a little bit lighter. So that's the original colour at the top, and this is the colour after mixing. I applied the grey paint in much the same way as I've painted on the white gloss, and lightly brushing downwards start blending the grey into the white. This is the bane of my life. Why does it want to unpack and live here? Oh! Why does hair want to unpack and live here? Don't worry, I evicted it using some tweezers. Some old tweezers. Well, they're old tweezers now. They ain't going to be used for plucking eyebrows anymore, they're going to be used for extracting paint hairs. Anyway, after that ordeal, I did continue painting. I also started blending the grey upwards, and also glossing the edges of the drawers. And for the top of the unit, I'm going to be using this black satin exterior paint. Again, because I want to use it up. I just kept swapping between my black paintbrush and my grey paintbrush, just to blend in the colours until I was happy with them. Now I really love the way this paint slightly separates to give this sort of spotted effect. Love the way this looks. And once I'd blended as much as I wanted and I was happy with the way it looked, I left it to dry for 24 hours. Once the unit was completely dry, I popped back on the hardware and voila, we're done. Do you like it? So I've spent the last month giving the living room an extreme makeover, sort of monochrome mountain abstract-esque. So this piece of furniture is going to go and live in there. If you've enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a comment, share and subscribe. Subscribing is optional, but if you'd like to see what the rest of the room is going to look like when it's finished, you should subscribe. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!